Hi there, Courtney Murphy, Denver Metro Realtor here to give you your November 2025 Denver real estate market update. We are going to jump in with inventory. Oh, and I want to remind you, we'll be looking at October numbers since I won't have November numbers until December. All right, inventory. There were 12,495 houses on the market at the end of October in the Denver area. This was down 4.43% from the prior month and up 14.21% over October of 2024. We had 3,354 homes sell in the month of October, down 6.96% from the prior month and down 7.71% from October of 2024. Median days on the market right now is sitting right at 33 days. This was taken just a little bit longer than the month before. Uh, to be expected, and you'll see a lot of variances in this. Some houses I see selling still like within a week or so. Others sit and sit. A lot of that has to do with pricing. Some of it has to do, obviously, with the type of home, your price point, and how things are selling in your area. All right, into sales price. So the median sales price in the month of October came in at $595,000. This was up 1.45% from September, and it was absolutely flat, no change from October of 2024. Now, I mean, one interesting thing to think about is, yeah, the prices didn't change, completely flat. Obviously, there was some up and down in between that time. But, we did have inflation of 3%. So although the prices are flat, you do kind of want to see, if you're wanting home values to go up, for it to at least match inflation. So technically, houses are a little bit cheaper since the dollar has gone up in inflation. Now, I do want to break that number down just a bit. That 595 was the median sales price, which included attached homes and detached homes. The median sales price for a detached home came in at $650,000, and the median sales price for an attached home came in at $388,220. Now, what do things look like in the future? Because if you've been paying attention, if you've been watching my videos, one thing keeps coming up is that the market has just been stagnant, with interest rates up, prices high. Just a lot of people who want to buy a home are sitting on the sidelines, with the interest rates up. Not quite as many people wanting to list their home because they don't want to give up their great interest rate. So, things are just kind of moving right along and slowly. So, but what does the future look like? And that's what everybody always wants to know, right? Well, Moody's Analytics just came out with a 10-year forecast for the housing market nationwide. And it seems like this kind of flat market is going to stick around for a while, according to them, kind of over the next decade. So they are forecasting a 0.5 to 2.8% increase yearly for the next decade. They have it kind of slowly going up for 2026. They're predicting a 0.48% increase. 2027 goes up to 1.35. And then from 2028 to 2035, they kind of have that in the mid 2% range. You had 2.5, 2.7, 2.8, somewhere around there. So really, some slow growth over the next decade is what they're guessing at. And once again, like I mentioned earlier, inflation, it'll be interesting because these numbers are just straight up dollars, not including inflation. But so far, inflation rate is 3% like it is now, or the goal is usually to have inflation around 2%. Really, that has the growth in home values kind of shrinking a bit, or kind of staying, stagnant. Um, we really have such an affordability crisis in our country when it comes to housing. Young people are finding it hard to get in a spot where they can afford a home. And, a lot of people thought that maybe we would have some sort of crash here that's really going to bring home prices down quite a bit. And we just obviously haven't seen that. But maybe over the years, what we will see is just, low growth in the housing market combined with inflation, hopefully some wage growth to slowly make homes more affordable. And of course, all these predictions are very difficult to make because you never know what the government's going to step in and do. Obviously, we know the Fed has a great influence on how many houses are coming on the market. Like I said, right now, a lot of sellers are just want to stay put because they don't want to trade in their low interest rate. Um, Now, if we see interest rates come down a good amount, maybe into the fives, that's going to spur some of those people to maybe list their house and get something new. Also spur buyers. If certain things that have been talked about recently, we probably heard Trump talking about is the 50-year mortgage. You introduce a 50-year mortgage, that is a great incentive for young people to be able to get a lower payment and buy a house, but it's also going to flood the market with more buyers. And if you do that, then, home prices are probably going to go up more than predicted. Or he's also talked about conventional loans being assumable. That too, more people in the market, home prices could go up. So you can try and predict what's going to happen, but if the government is making different decisions or changes things up, interest rates are changing, it's really hard to predict exactly what's going to happen. Now, I do have to think that some of our affordability issues has come from all the investors buying up houses over, especially during this last boom that we saw. Uh, I gotta think that if they were only making, 2% a year, that investors are going to back off from being so aggressive in buying up homes because they can obviously make more money investing their money in other places. Now, this probably people would still flip homes because you can still add some updates into a house and sell it for quite a bit more. But the long-term investments, that could cool off a bit, and that could help out in affordability as well. All right. The next thing I wanted to move into is real estate in December. First of all, let's talk about selling a home in December. Should you sell a home in December? Well, most likely, if you have a choice, you're probably not going to choose to do that, right? But sometimes maybe you found a house you want, or maybe you have a job transfer, or there's a divorce going on, and you're like, dang it all, it's December, I got to list my house. So obviously, December does not have the most buyers out there looking, but you do actually have an advantage during the holiday season, between Thanksgiving and New Year's. And part of that is that a lot of listings that have been on the market just sitting there for a while are going to make the decision to pull their house off the market and relist in the spring. So we'll have some retraction in the inventory, or at least stuff that's been out there for a while. And secondly, the buyers that are out there right now actively shopping, just like you don't necessarily want to sell your house during the holidays, it's not that popular of a thing to let's go out and shop for houses and buy a house right in the middle of December during the holidays and whatnot. So the buyers that are out there are typically very serious buyers, whereas in the spring, you're going to have more looky-loos, or people that are like, hey, if we find a house, that's great. If we don't, no problem, we won't move. You don't have a lot of that in December. Usually people who are shopping in December, they are serious buyers. So you won't probably have as many showings, but the people who are showing up, they really want to get a house. And next, should you buy a home in September or December? Same thing here is most people who have their homes listed in December, they really need to sell their home. So it might be a good time for you to strike up a good deal. As I just mentioned, home sellers, a lot of them will choose to pull their house from the market during the holidays and relist in the spring. These are people who are not necessarily in that great big hurry to sell their homes. They'd rather relist it, try to get the price point that they're going for instead of just keeping it on the market, letting it get stagnant, whatnot. So the people that typically do either list at this time of year or keep their house on the market, they need to sell their homes. So keep that in mind. Both buyers and sellers, your buyers are serious this time of year and your sellers are serious. So take it for what it is, buying or selling in December. All righty. Again, my name's Courtney Murphy, Denver Metro Realtor. If you're planning to buy or sell in the Denver area, certainly reach out to me, give me a call. I can help answer some of your questions, and let's find out if we're a good fit to work together. Uh, I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and yeah, be sure to subscribe. Don't miss out on any of my market updates, educational videos, or of course, my home tours around the Denver area. All right, thanks for joining me today and have a super day.